The upgraded gaunts with the catapult here is now MaNa's taking some damage, but he's gonna get on top of the catapult pretty quickly. And for my druthers, well, first of all, this catapult's dead so fast, actually. Nice job drawing them off sides. And for my druthers, even with the Gaunt upgrade, Magmadons are so good. The upper right, he's your Dreamhack Champion, playing Infernals for Team Liquid. It's MaNa. And the bottom left, in the purple here in this mirror matchup. He's one of the best players of the alpha, one of the best players of the beta as well. He's one of the Moran brothers. It's Vortix. And it is crazy how good Vortix and Luciferon both are just at every single RTS they play. They were top players in StarCraft. They're now one of the top players in they were one of the both top players in Zero Space, top players here in Stormgate, and they just happen to be top players in Age of Empires 4 as well. So they're just absolute savants as we see a double vault opening coming out of Vortix early on in this game. No meat farm spam. That's not necessarily going to happen, but MaNa, for his part, notice nothing there on the, well, we don't have a production tab, but nothing on production outside of the shrine at the natural. Going for very, very different builds here in this game. Number one, MaNa. Gotta try to play as greedy as possible. Vault after that. Vortix. He's gonna have 2 vaults done very quickly, which means double brute production. And I think with this, yeah, this fiend that's gonna get sent over, I don't know if this is gonna be for a Shroud Stone based on position. Yeah, low ground Shroud Stone push coming across the map with double brute production. Excuse me, coming out of here from our purple Infernal player. So heavy aggression, trying to make sure that even as MaNa has committed to this natural, taking the shrine right here, he's not going to be able to mine from it for quite a while. It's going to be a little bit awkward. And hey, these brutes, they're going to theoretically have some Shroud to retreat back to. But of course, Shroud on the high ground as well. And it does affect both players. So they're both going to benefit from that white health. As now, here come the brutes, 2 by 2. MaNa's got 2 vaults. They're not done though. First one's 3/4 of the way done. Second one's about halfway done. And because of that, he's just always going to be behind on his brute count quite a bit. And look at this second, there we go, second Shroud Stone's gonna go down. I'm honestly a little surprised it's not a meat farm, to be totally honest, because of course, well, meat farms are really nice. They give you effectively like an extra brute as the Fellhogs continue to spawn. So now with Shroud up as well, it's a bit of a white health advantage to be, no, that is MaNa's meat farm. I could have, no, that is, yeah, that is MaNa's meat farm. For some reason I could have sworn that was a Shroud Stone coming down from Vortix, but I guess I didn't click right as one of MaNa's Shroud Stones goes down. But we still have the meat farms here, and the Spellhogs, they really do make a difference. Shroud Stone, though, coming up from, no, I'm just confused. This is fine. This is the Shroud Stone I was thinking about. So now we're going to see Fellhogs continue to go down. Vortix, he's got four brutes right here, and with the Shroud Stone as well. It seems highly unlikely that this natural's going to stay up. Now the brutes are going to try to join the fray as they have that white health available to them. But there's just too much damage right now, so MaNa has to kite backwards, turns into feeds, and he's gonna fight brutes off Shroud, but actually brutes fight fiends fairly nicely. So on the right side, we're gonna continue to see this pressure going down, the shrine getting down below 380 HP. And it seems like for the moment here, as I can't double click on that apparently, it seems like for the moment, MaNa, as more stuff starts to ride, the Fellhog's doing a great job, and even if the Shroud Stone's dead, it's actually handling this pretty nicely. So two meat farms, Shroud Stone here, and MaNa has actually built himself a bit of a brute lead. Now, of course, the natural, I think that is certainly doomed to die, but at least there is Shroud you can fight on. Now, behind this, we have to say, okay, is there any expansion? Is there any development coming out of Vortix? I think for this part, he's just kind of all in. And this is where we can see that, yeah, actually, the Shroud Stones are probably better in this situation. Now MaNa looking for the counterattack, I guess, but he's going to lose his natural pretty quickly. Tons of fiends on the middle of the map looking to trade it. Well, they're going to get resource camps. They're going to get the brute trying to take the resource camp as well. So MaNa just doing what he can to knock down reinforcements, but he's going to lose everything on the natural. Now, again, the big thing here, Vortix has no natural of his own. He's on the way right now, but it's not there just yet. So we're kind of getting this awkward base trade. Fiends, they're going to get on top of the brutes, and, well, they are worth a... Oh, MaNa, no, he does get the split off in time. Okay, so the splits are good. And remember, these fiends, they only last about 60 seconds, unless there's some healing. If they take a healing camp, unless they're on Shroud, they will eventually time out. And that means that Vortix stays alive here. He's got his natural halfway done. MaNa is on triple vault production. Vortix only double, but the natural's done. It's going to take a while for MaNa to try to clear this out. Even building 3 brutes at a time. Of course, you got to wait for your charges to pipe up. You got to wait for your charges to pop up once again. And we might be hitting a point here because remember, MaNa doesn't have a Shroud Stone. So he doesn't have any way to check his Animus to be able to accrue that in some way, which means he doesn't know. He doesn't have enough energy, and there's over 50 energy. So right now the numbers look a little bit too overwhelming, but you absolutely, if these units get low, and certainly once they start to split, you can turn them. You can drop the Infest spell down. You can turn that in, and there we go. So a bunch of Fiends on the way, we would assume, and MaNa just has to run away from this. Now, it's really hard to see what's happening at this point, but okay, the Shroud Stone will fall, but that's still a decent amount of Fiends, and I think there should be a second one. Yeah, 1 energy, 1 more kill. And the second Infest spell is going to be available, so that's where things get a little bit scary. That's when you have to be tremendously careful, as this resource camp will go down, and that's the energy. That's 50 energy, 52 in fact, but it looks like for now, Vortix is just going to give it up. He doesn't have enough units. Run back with the Fiends, take as many camps as possible, and just go from there. As Brute taking advantage of the healing fruit or whatever it is, as you see kiting away. I mean, kiting away with the Fiend is kind of useless because he's going to be dead in 3 seconds anyways, but yeah, it's a scout. It gets something. Now the vision camp's down. Vortix, 3rd base on the way. MaNa only just now establishing his natural. And where are we at? So 6 imps on the main base, or 6 imps on the natural. Of course, you do have to buttress how much you're actually doing, because, well, every time you want to build a structure, you've got to spend an imp for it. So it is a bit of a problem. But what are we looking at right now? Double vault, double conclave on the way, coming out of Vortix at this point. So he's going to have gaunts very quickly. He's ideally going to turn one of these into a greater shrine. There we go. Actually, greater shrine pops as we say so. He's going to turn that into a greater shrine. He's going to drop the upgrade structure. I'm blanking on the name at the moment. And then how much? Okay, that's a lot of that's a lot of Animus MaNa has available to himself right now because of all these what have been pretty poor trades, but it's been a lot of units dying over and over again. So 122 Animus, that's about 20% of the way to a flayed dragon, if that is where MaNa wants to go for. But for now, it does seem like he wants to get something done on the map here. He is behind, make no mistake about it. Yeah, he probably was saving some charges, so theoretically he could just go build a ton of workers at once. Even still, it's going to be pretty hard. So MaNa, even as much as he would like to accomplish something on the map, he's not really going to be able to do so. And there we go, Shadow Cleft on the way. Of course, this unlocks 2 things. It unlocks glaives, or at one point they were called hemoglaves. I forget what they're called now. The Gone upgrade that means that you move a little bit faster and you apply Infest on your attacks. Now it's for the cost of your health. But even still, it is a very powerful upgrade. It adds a lot of damage over time. And when we talk about these units that have 190 HP, that are as beefy as they are, adding in the Gaunts is a pretty big deal. So now, middle of the map. That's going to be Vortix's. His army is both bigger and higher in tech. What does MaNa have? So he's got his double conclave on the way. He's going to have a marginally better production, right? Triple vault versus double. That's something. A 3rd conclave on the way. 4th conclave on the way. So sorry, we talked about production. That was a lie. That's just not real. A 3rd base on the way. It's actually kind of interesting here. We're seeing Vortix send an... Oh, okay. I was going to say, it's interesting. We're seeing Vortix go send an imp out for a bit of a scout. But you can build a Shadow Flyer. It's not that expensive. I forget exactly how much it costs in Luminite and Therium, but it's not that expensive. Builds, of course, out of the Greater Shrine, or the Shrine. And generally, especially before the Infernal army has a decent amount of gaunts and things, it's not really killable. So that can be really nice, but instead, this is going to be Shroud Push, middle of the map here. Shroud Stone going down, as Vortix wants to give this position to buffer himself. And also this means that as the resource camps respawn, you're going to be able to take a lot. You're going to be able to take them just that much easier. And more importantly than anything, more than importantly than having a position to retreat to, having this ability to take your resource camps a little bit better, it means that you can accrue white health in the middle of the map. It means that you have this ability to sit on the map and to continue to hold position and maybe get something done while not losing that white health, while not giving your opponent more defender's advantage than they might otherwise have, as MaNa out on the map here. Oh, they're going for the resource camp level 2 for that 80 Luminite. That really feels juicy, but oh, with the Magmadons here and with so many gaunts, zero shot MaNa's gonna be able to get that. So, well, oh, I love that dash through as well. Of course, Magmadons can bust trees down. Generally, you run around though. You run and dash right through. No, he dashes low ground to high ground. Finds just a little bit more, and now, okay, so we got a meat farm here. This actually might be a bit of a mistake. That's a great infest, though, going to go on down. Magmadon on top of all the gaunts on the back line. Looking for the splash damage, looking for the mass transform, but the gaunt's just going to pour. The Magmadon's just going to fall right on time, and the Fiends are not getting spammed. Not just yet. Now they are, but at this point, this is a player that is just too much stuff. The Magmadon's still there, looking for maybe a Fell Hog to chow down on to get more white health, but at this point, yeah, MaNa's dead. Vortix takes everything he could possibly want off the rush early on, and Vortix takes game 1. There we go. Single vault on the low ground this time. Maybe not. Well, actually, we can't. Unfortunately, in this stage, we can't see how much money each player has. But yeah, no, looking at the Fiend positioning. There we go. Second vault going down. Vortix really seems to like this aggressive opening, and again, MaNa seems convinced that he can make this low ground natural work. He seems convinced that he can go Shrine Vault and hold on, which is reasonable, but which you got to do some different things. And of course, this time there's no really strong rushing position that we saw coming out of. There we go. There's the difference that we saw coming out of Vortix in game 1, where you can drop a Shroud Stone on the low ground, put pressure on the high ground, and make it really, really hard. So in this case, Vortix, instead of going double vault and getting aggressive in that way and taking that third imp and turning it into a Shroud Stone, this time he's going triple vault, but he does still have an imp with the army. And what this is likely to be, if I had my guess, it could just be a Shroud Stone. Could just be a Shroud Stone outside of the natural. Wouldn't also be surprised to see the meat farm rush go down. Is already we are seeing again these different plays. This time it's not going to be brutes rushing, it's Fiends very quickly here looking to put pressure on. And the goal of this is, first of all, trying to get that scalp, but second of all, you can get on top of the defensive Shroud Stone immediately here. And I love that we're seeing MaNa make these adaptations, make these evolutions in play, but for the most part, it seems like Vortix is aware of what's happening, is now he's going to try to dive on top of the Luminite line. Now, of course, imps have a decent amount of white health, so it's going to take a moment here as he tries to wear through them, but even still, this is 3 imps off the line, and the big deal here is, oh, he's going to get one. There we go, and the imp still stays alive. Now, well, yeah, imp will, or the Fiends will fall, but knocking down anything you can this early on is fantastic. And this is actually going to be the meat farm we talked about. Fellhogs are actually really solid stagged events in the early game. There was a whole meta at the start of last beta where people were just going and they were saying, oh, there we go. By the way, 460 Shroud Stone's on the way. And it seems like MaNa is well prepared to defend this. Imps are pulled. There's double brutes right there. And the Shroud Stone, even if it gets up, I don't think it survives really all that well, but imps are starting to fall. And the Shroud Stone, well, yeah, for now, it's adding in the damage. And this is one of those things, just like if you're getting cannon rushed, if you commit to stopping it and you lose a lot, it's just about as bad. So let's see, that's a Shroud Stone from MaNa that's not going to complete. What is this? I don't know whose meat farm this is. I'm assuming because Vortix isn't fighting it, it's going to be Vortix's. And now it's Fiend versus Fiend battles as you try to kite away. And it seems like for the moment, MaNa just has a little bit less. Well, again, moving forward. No, okay, no, those are all MaNa buildings. Okay, those are all MaNa buildings defensively on the low ground. So 12 out of 12, nothing mining Therium, but that really is fine for the most part. Natural's done. This reinforcing, the reinforcing brutes aren't really going to be all that effective, I don't think. Not really. And yeah, certainly we can see right there. They're fighting Fell Hogs and they're dying to Fell Hogs. And with the Shroud Stone up as well, meat farm back down. Really not a lot available. So MaNa, game 1, he takes too much damage. The pressure works. Game 2, not really. And the big difference here is that we're not seeing Vortix hasn't gotten enough done to really justify an expand. We don't see any natural shrine. We got an imp on the way now as he just rallies down to it, but I don't think, I mean, at this point, 9 workers, 12 workers. We're looking at 21 imps, a couple more. Yeah, 21 imps, but a couple more are going to go into Therium as we start to go into round 2 of tech. And while this attack's going to try to run in once again, this can beat the Shroud Stone down very quickly And there's not enough energy. Well, there is one Infest available now. There's no Shroudstone here. MaNa, I don't think he expected the second round of attack, the second wave coming in from Vortix right now. So Fellogs are fighting as they can, but they're not doing a ton. Now, MaNa's got a couple brutes on the right side. He's going to try to deal with reinforcements as he can, but meat farms continue to go down. It's, of course, another Shroudstone on the way, and it's MaNa's, but they build slowly. They're not really going to pop up all that quickly. And it seems like, for now, I think it looks like Vortix is taking the... No, he's not. Defender's advantage is too strong. And despite knocking down some of the stack defense, well, this continuous 3-vault pressure is just not getting anything done. And at the end of the day, it does seem like, yeah, MaNa is just going to go, and he's going to clean this up. And he's got another Shroudstone. He's got double meat farm. He's continuing to build workers now, 10 out of 12 in the main. 9 out of 12 on the natural, but he can improve that when he would like. Shroudstone up on the high ground to make sure he has access to that animus as things continue, and he can make sure to channel all the rituals. And of course, we talked about the Infest because it's damage over time. It turns your enemy units that die into your own fiends. It can really snowball fights. That is also worth talking about that there are other rituals, other spells available in this Shroudstone. You can drop one that gives you another Shroudstone for free. Well, not for free, for 50 animus, but you can drop that down and it within 10 range and it moves forward. You can drop one that increases the white health regeneration rate of all friendly units on Shroud and increases the distance of Shroud significantly. It's not all that great in this matchup, but it can be good in Vanguard or Infernal versus Vanguard. And of course, also there's the Blade Dragon, but now Fiends are going to try to dash forward once again because Vortix is incredibly all in on this. What is that? A meat farm going down, meat farm. The whole pressure, the whole kit caboodle, and well, the Infest has been dropped, so we're gonna see this. There we go. Fiends are gonna start to spawn here. This is still a lot of brutes, and there we go. Second Infest. This probably should do it. There's just gonna be too much snowballing available. Although meat farms do pop, it's not really relevant because, well, there are three meat farms available. There are more army units available, and Vortix is in fact gonna fall down here. The aggression works once, but MaNa says, "Don't fool me twice." Game 2 goes the way of MaNa. And the cool thing about Stormgate is we're sitting here and kind of exploring matchups a little bit more. And, oh, great. Good for him. He was having some PC issues, but we are totally fine now. Fantastic. The cool thing about this, about Stormgate, is that there is a ton of map variation compared to really most, well, not most RTSs, but you say compared to StarCraft or something. There's a ton of map variation. Jagged Maw is a very different map from Secluded Grove, is a very different map from Broken Crown. Just they play very differently. They have different objectives, as we see the siege camps here in the middle of the map. It's super cool, actually, to be able to see that happening. Of course, also there are 2 attack paths here, one of which that only small units can go through because of the trees, the other of which everyone can run through. And you know, theoretically, if you want to try to take a weird attack path, you could send an imp down to slowly start to lumberjack through these trees and go from there, go around, and then lumberjack through the second set and hit with a big massive brutes or something. I don't know. Look at this. We got the exact same build coming out of MaNa and Vortix in game number 3. Vortix, he goes for aggression in game 1. It works. Goes for aggression game 2. Doesn't really work. And, you know, given this kind of turret rush, basic unit rush idea that we've been seeing from Vortix, the first game that worked, and I'm almost surprised we don't have a Shroudstone rush on the high ground here. That would be another situation that would be difficult to break, but I guess it's just too easy to scout is probably going to be the thing. So MaNa would be able to respond in time, react in time, and really just go from there. Which I think is totally reasonable. But for now, okay, interesting here. We're going to see Fiends run through the left side of the map, which is just a little bit slower than the right side and a little bit easier to see what's happening. So that's not that big of a deal, and certainly your Fiends will default to running through the left side instead of the right side unless you tell them otherwise. Is now they're taking half HP, but they're going to try to get on top of this natural Illuminati line and see what they can find. They will force a split out of one of the brutes just to make sure that there's something to chase them down, but eventually, I mean, they lose HP at 1 second per second. They won't last all that long off Shroud, and if they're on Shroud, well, they will just get chased down. So nice little scout is now MaNa. He's the one with the Enjoinder on the other side, moving around right side. And this is what we're talking about, where it is just a little bit faster to be able to go and run through the middle of, or just run on this side. But now Fiends are going to be there to defend. And of course, well, I thought we were going to see the fight. It's actually not. And now this is a little bit awkward. I was going to say, well, you know, this is a pretty good fight. Vortix, he's got white health. His opponent doesn't. But instead, because he didn't take the fight at the top of the ramp, MaNa is able to run around, get onto Shroud. And eventually, it feels like these Fiends will fall, but he gets a nice scout. He sees what's happening. He forces his opponent's Fiends back home. And that means that, well, there's just not as much stuff, not as much opportunity available for Vortix to do really what he would like to do at this point. MaNa has bought time. His Shroud's still just about done. He's got a ton of brutes. Of course, fight Fiends really, really nicely. And away we go. So Vortix, he's got his feet running around. But again, this is kind of how we're seeing him, where it does force a reaction. It does force some units to trade off, but it's not really getting a ton as both players. And at this point, I mean, just look at how set up here. Vortix is in his natural. He's got double conclave, double vault. His main base is already into that greater shrine as we see the blood popping out. Is something actually? Wait, do we see that blood in the cauldron? Is that what happens when something gets summoned? Or is it when the transformation animation happens? I'm actually not. Oh yeah, it is. Okay. I didn't notice that. People have been talking about how they want the game to be more adult, more gory or something. Well, every time you summon a unit, it turns into it fills the cauldron with blood. And okay. Someone had a lot of fun with that. Is now again Shadow Cleft on the way, which means two things. It means a Gone upgrade. It means Magmadons. Both of these are really fantastic. Now, MaNa doing a very nice job expanding his economy. He understands that this game is going a little bit more into the mid game, is going to play a much more of a macro game, which means that first of all, he's taken a lot of the camps. He's taken the speed camp. He's taken every camp on his side of the map. Not the health camps, a little too out of the way, but for the most part, he's taken a lot of camps. And he's got his third base much, much faster here. Meanwhile, Vortix, it almost feels like he's trying to go for a Magma Gaunt push. No third base on the way just yet. You know, for MaNa, come on. These Fiends, stick him in the health zone. What am I selecting here? Yeah, stick it. There we go. Okay. Okay. Make sure that, because of course you heal faster than you take damage from getting ticked down like that. So it just maximizes the efficiency of your army. So for now, Vortix, okay, yeah, absolutely going for that push. He's got Gaunts. He's popping out more brutes. He's going to go for the siege camp. And he really wants to make sure that he has this attack going. We were talking about being able to open up attack patterns. You can go through the right side, right? Knock down trees here, knock down trees on the other side. Or you can cut down trees right in the middle. But the interesting thing, or these are technically trees, the spires in the middle. But the interesting thing, and this is a beautiful scout getting a Gaunt as well. Now MaNa's kind of aware of what's happening. But the trick here, and then, okay. I was going to say, I don't know why you wouldn't just get a Magmadon in and run through, but this is going to be a very specific timing. Notice what Vortix is doing right now. He's body blocking the siege camp, making sure that it's just going to go where he wants it to go. As he opens up the middle, body block, he's got to make it run through the middle. That's the entire point of this. That's the entire point, but I guess he's... Okay, now it's going to go. Okay, now it's going to go through, but of course, MaNa does have an attack on the other side here with the Gaunts, with the Volt, with the Fiends, but he's going to be able to get away for the most part, and now... Here comes the catapult. Now, you do want to sync this up. You do want to bring your army with it, but I really thought we were going to see a bunch of Magmadons here to knock the middle of the map down. But instead, it's just going to be upgraded Gaunts with the catapult here. Now, MaNa's taking some damage, but he's going to get on top of the catapult pretty quickly. And for my druthers, well, first of all, this catapult's dead so fast, actually. Nice job drawing them off sides. And for my druthers, even with the Gaunt upgrade, Magmadons are so good. Getting so much damage done, and there we go. So now Infest has been dropped by Vortix, but MaNa's going to have his available as well. Waiting for the Magmadon charge to get up once again. And now we see the Infest getting dropped here on top. And I think the defensive setup for MaNa could be good enough here. Fiend Snowball, though, starting to become... yeah, no, it's not good enough at all here. MaNa with a nice defense. A fantastic defense. Is going to be able to find everything that he could possibly want. And Vortix... well, he went for that time. He's got his third base on the way, but it's just, Fiends. Fiends on top of everything. This third base is not going to last all that much longer. And this Magmadon is a big ass dead. And with the Shroud Stone, everything else, Magmadon on top as well. That's down. Now, it does seem this base will survive just a little bit longer. I thought it was going to go down. Apparently not. But now more Fiends through the middle of the map here, through the forest, hoping they don't miss them through, hoping they don't miss them through the trees. The Vortix is, I wish we could see supplies. We can't, but Vortix is in a pretty rough spot right now. Ooh, trying to get on top of these gaunts as well. And they're not as expensive as they were in the last patch, but they're not cheap. They do cost Therium, and as we saw, Magmadons are incredibly important. Magmadons are so important for this composition. You get on top of the gaunts, you stun them up, you do splash damage against them, and while gaunts are a lot cheaper than they first were, they're also not nearly as tanky. As apparently we could run through this run through this part of the rocks. That's fun. Now we talked about value that you can find. MaNa's base, it's only one Luminite patch, but it does have extra Therium. That's kind of the big deal. Only one Luminite patch. This base that Vortix has taken is double Luminite, no Therium. So he only has 2 Therium patches. He's actually not mining out of the natural one at all, only the main base. So this tells you a lot about what we're going to see coming out of Vortix here. We're not going to see a lot of Therium units. Not really. Right, it's going to be a bunch of Fiends, it's going to be a bunch of Brutes, it's going to be a couple Magmadons maybe, depending on where exactly he wants to spend it. But now we're going to see the rocks go down just a little bit more. And remember, MaNa much richer on the Therium. His army, the complexity of his army is much stronger. And now we're going to see everyone dash on top here. Now, of course, Infest drops on both sides as well. But like hiding for MaNa seems like it's pretty solid at the moment. Magmadons, oh, Vortix gets shut down here. Now, Magmadon's on the back line. And yeah, MaNa, yeah, I think. I don't think Infest getting dropped on both sides. No, actually not at all. Despite the really good Magmadon dashes, it's just not enough. Vortix steamrolls through with a ton of Fiends. This is so many Fiends here. And Magmadon, I mean, MaNa's in a bit of a pickle right now. Infest gets dropped, and of course, Fiends spawn Fiends. Like, I think they're changing that in the Elephant build, but for now, Infest getting dropped on both sides, trying to see who's going to win. Really just like a mini-map for the most part. And it seems like Vortix had all those Fiends from the last fight. They're going to start to pierce through, I think. Yeah, exactly. The snowball is here. And what do we got? We have more Infest available. 300 Animus available here coming out of MaNa. As you would like to eventually get to the Blade Dragon, but for now, dropping for Infest as needed. And it looks like this push between Defender's Advantage and the double Shroud Stone and the Infest play and the meat farms, it seems like it's actually, well, is it? I was just thinking, it seems like it's slowing down. I'm actually not all that convinced. The Shroud Stones are down, the meat farms are down. Getting on top of this Magmadon, it's not going to last all that long with a big surround it's got. And Vortix continues to just snowball through this army. And here's the problem. MaNa, does he have a single Shroud Stone? He's got one Shroud Stone left side. I hope he's hotkeyed it, but the Greater Shrine is going to fall down here as well. In this one big fight, MaNa overcommits. Gets everything turned to imps, and the mass conversion is going to do it. Vortix at this point, it seems like his rally's going to do enough. Seems like the snowball of imps or of Fiends is going to do enough. And Vortix, he takes the series 2-1.